Oh man, oh man.
Okay, bye, Mom.
Just when you think entertainment, Hollywood, the music
No
industry
for you.
is done, no. No, no, no. Okay.
Tell him I love him.
Still,
Yes.
the
And
drama
the
with P.
call
Diddy and
is on
Jay-Z
time, and I
and
don't want
Tony
any
Buzbee, the lawyer that tried to take them down,
more people.
well, things have turned
Lock everything down.
for the worse for Tony Buzbee. He is really, well, he's not going through it yet, but he's in the beginning stages. Now, when Jay-Z said that where did he say that at? He said that he was trying to blackmail him. Okay, make sure, let me get this straight right here. Where's it at? Um, I just had it and my iPad moved and it just moved everything. However, Jay-Z saying this guy, he's trying to blackmail me. He's trying to do this, he's trying to do that. So here, by standing up in the face of adversity and refusing a shakedown, Jay-Z has shown that these types of baseless accusations will not stand, Alex Shapiro expressed. He pushed back. He never settled. He did not pay one red penny. This dismissal is vindication, plain and simple. As for the Brooklyn MC, he called this a victory and spoke on the trauma that these laughable but serious claims caused him and his family, emphasizing the court's responsibility to not just protect victims, but also but also extend that ethical responsibility to innocent people who face accusations. So, and if you call it a shakedown, some people may say it because you just one day you go to the mailbox, you open up the mailbox, you pull out a thick letter, and it's saying, "Hey, if you don't pay this, we're going to put it out in public. We're going to file this lawsuit. So you better pay my client uh $10,000 or whatever, just a number. If you do not do that, we are going to file this lawsuit and everything is going to be out in the open and everybody's going to know what you are being accused of." And that was basically what he was saying. Now, Tony Buzbee did that to P. Diddy. But P. Diddy's lawyers, I don't know where he got those lawyers from. Those lawyers got him sued. I mean, not only sued big time, but now he's in prison based on Cassie's declaration. Now she put that in there and he didn't pay. But then I guess one day before, I don't know, then he decided to bring out the millions, and that's what he did. Tony Buzbee was like, "Oh, I'm feeling myself. I'm going to go ahead and do some more." When he threw Jay-Z's name in it, that was a huge mistake because Alex Shapiro is a pit bull. And Tony Buzbee met his match. Now, Tony's Buzbee, his issue was technical issues. And his technical issues are at the point to where he cannot practice law in New York State anymore based on what he did. Now, there's federal law and state law. So now he could only dabble in state law, but federal law he's done. Now, what he did was when he put the case in for the 13-year-old girl at the time who said that Jay-Z and P. Diddy Well, first it was P. Diddy, and then an unnamed rapper, plus with an A-lister star, watched her get abused by the two of them. So he only named P. Diddy at first. Then he named Jay-Z, which really hurt his credibility. And many people looking like, huh? And he almost lost the Super Bowl, all types of stuff. So Jay-Z said, oh, no, 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 no. I'm fighting this. I'm not giving you a penny, not one red penny. And he didn't and fought back. Now, this is where Tony Buzbee's issue really hit him. He initially filed in Houston, Texas. Well, that didn't work out too well. So then he refiled in New York City. Now, they say, I can't remember where I read it, but it was stated that Tony Buzbee was allowed to file in New York and in the Southern District, the 5 boroughs and some other counties. And the judge allowed him to file this one court case, the then 13-year-old girl, and he used it through another attorney there in the Southern District, used his numbers or her numbers or whatever it was to file the court case. But what Tony Buzbee did was not only did he file that one lawsuit, but then he pushed through, I think, 13 others. And the judge said, wait a minute, wait. You said it was only one lawsuit. Where are these other 13? Why are they hanging around? What's going on here? So he tried to be a little shisty. So within that, he was made to withdraw the other lawsuits. But before that occurred, the then 13-year-old girl that filed the lawsuit, then she either withdrew or he said, hey, we need to withdraw this lawsuit, which caused a lot like, why are you withdrawing it when you did all of this? Why did you withdraw it? It makes no sense. Why did you do that? You threw all this out there. You said he was this. You said he was a monster. You said he did that with P. Diddy. And who is the A-list celebrity? Who is that person? Don't just keep them in the dark. We should know. But Jane Doe, we still don't know who she is. Jane Doe filed that lawsuit. Now, how we got here was when Cassie filed her lawsuit, and she made it read like, it's like, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Now, she didn't look good in all of this because many people were like, Cassie, you were with that man for 10 years. At one point, you got to say you were down with all that stuff. You were down with it. Some people are the school of thought that she was terribly abused and she wanted a record deal. And she did all that to get a record deal, to get her the rest of her music played, because she only had maybe 1 or 2 albums, 1 or 2 songs. And the one that I heard, I'm like, it was, to me, she was, they tried to, you're just a headache. Let me just get rid of you. It doesn't mean that what they were accused of is what they did. Sometimes it's better just to give them money and for them to go away. Sometimes that's the best thing to do. And sometimes you do that because you don't want to go through the fact finding and you don't want to have these issues. Now, with Cassie's case and Little Rod's case, it brought on more stuff to where the federal government or the FBI is like, well, we need to put this guy in jail. Now, when you, I'm going to deviate a little bit because you can't make this stuff up. You can't. When you have somebody like Kanye saying, hey, Histler is great. My goodness, I can't believe he said that. Free P. Diddy. It's like, man, oh man. But I'm gonna leave that alone. But back to Busby. Now, Busby, after going through it with Jay-Z, now here, Tony Buzbee reportedly barred from practicing law in New York City after Jay-Z and Diddy lawsuit. So he's barred based on this article. And it says, apart from dropping the suit against Jay-Z and Diddy, Busby has filed over a dozen cases against Sean Combs in New York City. After attorney Tony Buzbee and his client dropped the sexual lawsuit against Jay-Z and P. Diddy, it seemed like he will face more consequences, according to Lauren LaRosa, a former senior news producer at TMZ. The lawyer can no longer practice law in the Southern District of New York. This includes New York, Bronx, Westchester, Rockland, Putnam, Orange, Dutchess, and Sullivan state counties, including the 5 boroughs of New York City. Busby filed over a dozen other individual cases against the bad boy mogul, in particular in New York City, alleging various forms of misconduct on behalf of the client. Per this update from Lauren LaRosa, Busby can no longer litigate cases. LaRosa reports that the Committee on Grievances for the Southern District of New York made this decision following investigation into allegation of attorney misconduct. She clarified that he failed to apply for admissions to practice in the district. Busby reportedly filed one request to do so on January 29th of this year, but only because Jay-Z and Diddy's sexual assault lawsuit accused him of this negligence. Following the recent request, and the committee denied his application to practice. So he can't do sugar, honey, nor iced tea in the Southern District. They're like, nah, you're doing stuff like that. And people are calling Busby an ambulance chaser. You are an ambulance chaser. Or I can't remember how they say it. But they're like, no, you can't do it. No. Your client, there are so many holes in that story, and you had made so many amendments, and you allowed her to go on national TV to tell her story, and then she says, I admit that there are inconsistencies in my story. I know it. I know there are. People are like, wait a minute, if you have inconsistencies in your story, then why are you doing this? Are you just trying to get a bag out of the situation? Huh? Jane Doe? And that's what people are asking. Are you trying to get a bag out of this? Now, we don't like P. Diddy. Now, Jay-Z, many people, and when I say people, I mean fans like him. Now, when you go behind the scenes and other artists, they're like, I can't stand Jay-Z. Everything what he's getting, good. Glad he's getting it. He deserves to get it. I mean, right? So people are going to have whatever, how they may feel about him as far as other artists. But people on the outside are like, oh my goodness, no, that right there can't happen. That, she didn't tell the truth. And now you got people split. No, she didn't tell the truth. She's after the bag. Other people are like, wait a minute, believe all women, and she has mental health issues. And this was a long time ago, 25 years ago. she has a right to be heard, and it's, but when you have a lawyer doing some sneaky stuff, it makes things look not so good, and then it makes her look less credible than what she already does when she did that video or that interview that made her look really, really bad. Made her look really bad. So it's like, do we believe her? Well, don't know. That right there is completely up to the individuals. Now, Tony Buzbee, he, on the other hand, he has a lot to answer for. He does. Because going after Jay-Z like that and going after P. Diddy, now look, everybody knows P. Diddy said he is messy, but not a criminal. Now, that's up for debate. I mean, some people have a flimsy definition of what a crime is. Okay, I'm going to leave it as that. I'm going to leave it just as that right there. But um but Tony Buzbee, he has had many big cases before this. I don't know whether if the well dried up and then he started taking cases like Cassie, which he made a lot of money off of. He made a lot of money off of Cassie. Cassie's living high off the hog, and now she's out there on tour on her 2 songs. I'm like, oh my, how do you go on tour for 2 songs? And then it got canceled. I don't know if P. Diddy was simply trying to, not hurt her feelings that she said. His priorities, he stated, is securing justice for his plaintiffs rather than allowing procedural matters to overshadow the cases at hand. While Buzbee exists, while Buzbee exited these federal cases, the lawsuits will proceed under other attorneys. He will remain active in the case filed in New York State courts and other jurisdictions. Though he declined to comment directly to Billboard, he told the Houston Chronicles that his colleagues who are properly admitted in the Southern District of New York will continue handling the federal cases while he focuses on state litigation. Now, we already went through that he can't practice, period. And like, nope, you're out of here, Buzbee. Nope, you did that foul stuff. Now, I don't know about the other lawsuits because since they were withdrawn, I don't know whether if it was federal or, well, the cases were withdrawn. I think most of them were federal cases to get the maximum amount of money. I think anything over 75,000 is federal. Anything below 75,000 is state. So that's very interesting. But here, there's something else I want to point out. They're saying that Tony Buzbee's legal issues continue after withdrawing from 15 Diddy lawsuits. And yeah, his problems are just beginning. Just beginning. So here, attorney Tony Buzbee is stepping away from a dozen sexual abuse cases against Sean Diddy Combs in New York federal court. His decision comes because days after admitting he misjudged his ability to practice law in the jurisdiction. Now, you either can practice law or you can't. And if you're saying that you misjudged, then that right there is a huge issue because whether if you could practice law, whether if you have passed the bar or wherever. He didn't do that. So he said, I misjudged it. Buzbee acknowledged the oversight in his statement to Judge Ronnie Abrams. Buzbee failed to disclose that he was not admitted to practice in the Southern District. He assured the judge, or he assured the court, he would correct the issue by withdrawing from the presentation until securing proper admissions. In his filing, Busbee emphasized that he remains in good standing with the New York State Bar. He is fully qualified to continue representing clients. However, he opted to step aside to prevent his um, his admission status from becoming a distraction. Now, you got some flim flam there. You have your hand like going back and forth. I can practice law here, but I got to get this situation straightened out. Um, I'm not. I thought I was allowed to practice law, but in New York, Southern District, but I got to jump over these hurdles. I mean, there's too much, double mindedness there. If you could practice law in a particular jurisdiction because you were accepted. Not just coming up and you say, hey, yo, buddy, can you file this for me and put my name on it? Can you do that for me? And when you allow me to do that, I got these 13 other cases I want to ram through. And that was the issue, ramming all those cases in there. So, him being down in Houston, Texas, they may do things differently down there, but in New York City, it's completely different. You just can't do stuff like that. But I find all of that interesting. I got one question. What are your thoughts? Do you think that Tony Buzbee, his legal career is over in New York, or do you think that's going to spread all the way to Texas as far as what he has done? Also, do you think that Jay-Z is going to take him to the woodshed? You think he's going to allow him just to get away with it, like with like a little smack on a hand, a smack on a hand, or do you think he's going to go for the full Monty and destroy him limb by limb? Okay.